Well, as I'm accustomed to saying this time every week, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. This is yet another week when Trina, I'm Scott, and Trina is here. And boy, you have more things to say. Every week, it seems like you've just got more and more things going on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, please, Trina?
Well, Scott, I'm here. I'm trying to think of what we should feature on. We have the exhibit that we'll do something about a little later. I have two little baby caterpillars that we can try to see. They're new ones because the old ones have gone into chrysalis and are with other people waiting their emergence as butterflies. But this past week has been a very interesting thing. I think I say a little bit first about that because it points to the kind of crisis of thought that we're all in right now. This is not the first time I have heard of the doctrine of discovery. But I remember when I first heard about it, how appalled I was as a Catholic, because it started with the Catholics in the 15th century at the time, what they called the time of discovery. We say that Columbus discovered America. Well, that's the doctrine of discovery. It was the idea that Christians who put their feet upon a new land where the people were not Christian could claim it, could just claim it. And it's apparently our current property features of boundaries and fences and legal documents all go back to that doctrine of discovery and right of ownership. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg quoted it in the recent stuff at the Supreme Court as the basis for a book that she wrote. So as a Catholic, I was greatly ashamed because this was under popes and things. And then I found out that the Protestants did it too, especially with Brazil, in a wonderful book called Thy Will Be Done. And they did it in Brazil with the natives there. The lack of respect. Now that's been repudiated by our present Pope Francis, but the damage is still right there with us all the time. And it relates to white supremacy. It relates to European supremacy. It relates to Christian authoritarianism. It relates to all these things. So this is where Trina is at, because this last week I've been in a program where a lot of groups of us, very many Catholic sisters with large land holdings, we are the only ecumenical group, the Grail and the group. We do not have such large land holdings, and we've done a lot with a lot of them already. Too much, in my opinion, because you need a place to receive people and to be hospitable and to have some learning taking place. But so let's try to be open to what we should do, with knowing that we're mostly white people, not all, I think, we're quite interracial. And we are on the Lenape. I'm living right now on original Lenape Indian land, and I'm in Montclair, which hosts the first rise from the Hudson River into some sort of mountainous regions. So in my town, I can walk up several thousand feet to Eagle Rock Reservation, which is the end of the plain that comes from the Hudson River. That's about 20 miles long. So if global warming has its way and the rivers rise, I will be at the foothills of the lake and the river that will be formed. But in my town, it will be rising up, so it's probably safe. So this is the reality was in this week. And I come back now. This beautiful exhibit is at Gailville right now, and I just amazing with the people there, with the work that they have done to put that together. So it's had the first 2 weekends related to this Ohio show, and now it has a sort of quiet time of just being up. And I'll be going there the last week of October personally and be giving a weekend. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And then I'm going to be going to Utah for the production of Hope for the Flowers as a musical that was first done in 1984. So for 40 years, this young man who is a drummer and the woman who wrote the music have been carrying in their hearts the desire to do this. They would like it to go all over the place, of course, but we thought we first needed to see it someplace. So that's happening in November at the Hart Theater, which you're all welcome to check out, the HART Theater in Salt Lake City. And wouldn't it be wonderful to see some of you there? Or at Gailville in Loveland, Ohio, at the end of October at our big art exhibit there in our oratory. So, Scott, why don't you roll that one and just, because I want to honor the people who've done such a huge job. Look at what they're doing. Making all these butterflies flying from the ceiling, this beautifully reordered for a place of worship and quiet Ohio barn. That's what it is. And it's structurally, when you're there, you don't feel that all you see is beams. You feel the light and the beauty of the place. And so this is the altar with the glass clear story that brings the natural light down. And here's the heart of Hope for the Flowers message. The way to stop your own search when you see someone in trouble and say, you seem in trouble, can I help? That's what Yellow, the leader of love in that story, does. So here we are. And it's just amazing to me, the work that these people there have put into making this exhibit happen. I haven't seen it in the flesh, but I've seen it in these pictures they've made. So I'm hoping it brings a lot of people from the Cincinnati, Appalachia, Northern Appalachia, and Columbus area there. And I'm going to be sending out more invitations to people I know from Ohio, including my relatives in Cleveland, which is 7 hours away. So it's not so close. So that's going on right now. So I feel that at 93, this is a very late harvest. And how do I handle it all? I don't feel I handle it very well. But I just want to share some of the other things that are going on. We're planning for an activist weekend in the middle of October up at our Grail place in at Cornwall on Hudson, which is near Newburgh, New York, about the whole climate issue. And we're now talking about what the menu should be of such a weekend. How much do we look at how serious our agricultural system is for climate change? Most climate activists don't think about that very much. But organic soil sequesters carbon, and kind of the agricultural system that's based on genetically engineered crops and one kind of crop it doesn't do a good job at that at all, and it ends up using and causing more climate disruption than it possibly can save with the Bill Gates type of let's own land and let's make artificial food. And they use the lie that'll help with the climate issue. And it's not true at all. It'd be much more damaging than having cows and having meat. I'm basically vegetarian and vegan, but animals are very much part of our lives, and the right use of them and the right support of them is really essential to our well-being, everybody's well-being. So one of my questions is, how far does a person who has looked into something like the food issue very deeply for so many years, how far do I push that side of things with other activists who don't seem to know much about it? That's a question that we all have to ask as we are involved in things and we know something about. So there we are with all these things ahead of me and this election coming up. I don't know how you feel, but there's a surprise every day practically about who's aligning up with who. Here we have Dick Cheney joining the Democrats' support, who's the author of the Iraq War with the lies that brought us into that one and all the deaths that came. And then we have other people I know and care about who have joined the Trump. And when you asked him about war and this debate, he said, I just want to stop the killing. I just want to stop people dying. So it's a very interesting situation. And my recommendation about that to us all, like me and everybody else, is watch the full presentations of various people, not what someone else decides is a clip out of what they say that they've chosen for their own bias. Watch their full presentation, and maybe several of them, and try to make up your mind. So it's not an easy election. It's what's coming up. And one of the things I care very much about, and really care about, is the censorship that's going on. And you see it here in my country with it being proven about how the government was in collusion to the FBI and the CIA to take down certain people that they didn't like what they were saying, whether it was about COVID or other matters. And in France, it's terrible. The head of an outfit called Telegraph was arrested when he plane landed in France and is in jail right now because they wanted him to give them a back door so that governments could get into that program and know what everybody is saying. So you have now Brazil having kicked out Rumble, which is not allowed in France either. And this is a free speech platform. And free speech, our First Amendment, is for the speech that you don't like. There are laws already about yelling fire in a crowded auditorium. That's the kind of thing we need. But we need to hear each other. We need to hear the things that other people say, because often the truth is there. Maybe not. Maybe it's the common consensus that's we hear, but maybe not. And if you put all the people who think differently away and you can't hear them, where are we going? Where are we going? So I'm definitely a free speech advocate and an anti-censor person, which is not maybe a popular position for other people. And we have now malinformation. I think you all, do you know what that means? Malinformation is information that most of the people who censor it know is true, but it's inconvenient truth. They don't want to have it out there. So that's malinformation. It's not misinformation. It's not false information. It's inconvenient information. So they're censoring that stuff too. Ay, 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 ay. So that's my political position right now. But it shows, I think I'm not the only one who's all mixed up right now and about the problems of the responsibility we have to vote, and yet the difficulties of it all, and who fact checks who, and what the media role in all of this is, and if various media are biased in one direction or another, you have to really do a lot of homework yourself. So there's that. Okay, I think it might be time for us, and I think I should just show you my caterpillar, and I think I'll show you something that I have managed to keep alive. I lost one orchid, but this is another one. And it just keeps blooming away. These blooms have lasted now about 4 months already. And I didn't know orchids did that and lasted so long. This was from my dear friend Mary, who suddenly dropped dead last December. I can't believe it. She just isn't with us anymore. We shared a car. We shared food. We shared lots of things. And there she just dropped dead one Sunday evening. So, on a hopeful note, I want to end with trying to see if we can see this caterpillar. Okay. It was hard to see it before. Okay. Here we have it. It's at the very top of this leaf. It's right in there. Yes, the tire. It's only about a quarter of an inch long. And of course, this is the time that most of them are flying to Mexico. We did not have a good season at all up here. I think it was too hot. And the reason that in late February and March, they fly from Michoacan in Mexico is to get away from the heat. And I don't think we did a good job up here in New Jersey too. It was so hot here that I don't think they did much during our great heat. But I'd like to end with the prayer, just the prayer, short prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me show love. And maybe we do that. And that's what I hope for the flowers stands for, and this program stands for, is radical sharing, freely chosen. Both parts are very important. So it's a very idealistic goal, but I don't know how we can manage to have peace in the world unless we start to practice it. Not share our war materials, not share our hatred, but share and find out what we have in common with each other and try to share that. So bless us all this week as we work through another week of puzzlements as we hear what's happening next in the world. So amen, and thank you so much.